The year was 1955. My dad was only about a year old. The X-17 rocket had made its maiden flight, and Chuck Berry had made Maybelline a hit. Dwight D. Eisenhower was the president. America was still young and bright, and in the roaring 50s, they were in full swing. Let's back up some 14 years, though, to 1941. The day was July 25th, 1941 to be exact. The city was Chicago. A little boy was born to a beautiful, wise, and haggard mother. Everybody knew his mother as May. May had her son in Chicago, but she had to raise him on the city's south side in Argo. May was not a big city woman at all. She was a small town girl, having come from the Mississippi Delta town of Webb. May moved to Illinois to do just what many black families were doing then, moving from small towns in the South where they were facing segregation, persecution, and even death, just because of the color of their skin. May's boy grew up to be industrious enough to help his mother with chores at home, even though he sometimes got distracted just like any other young boy. May was a single mother. She was doing the best that she could. Her son was a neat dresser. She taught him well. He loved being the center of attention. He was a fan of baseball. He even was known to play a pickup game or two from time to time. He was a typical young man for 1955 America, as typical as it was anyhow for a young black child in those years. At the age of 14, he stood 5'4". He weighed 150 pounds. He was a big, strong, healthy, happy young man. Like any other young boy that age, he had a curious streak. It was summer 1955 when May's Uncle Mose came to Chicago for a visit. Uncle Mose was a preacher. Mose began telling May's son about life on the Mississippi Delta, which intrigued the young man's interest. The young man had to go and see for himself, begged his mother to go. Against her best intentions, she let him do it. She packed up his clothes. She trusted Uncle Mose. They got on a train and went south. May would never, ever, at least on this earth, see her beautiful, handsome young man alive again. While on vacation, May's handsome 14-year-old son went to the tiny town of Money, Mississippi. He went there with Preacher, as the town folks called him. They knew him as Uncle Mose. He arrived there on August 21st, 1955, and met some young boys from the local town. Boys being boys, the young fellow visiting from Chicago decided to skip school. He went off with the friends that he had met. That sounds innocent enough. But that's where the innocence stops. You see, this young man from Chicago, his name was Emmett. Emmett and the local boys decided to go buy some candy at the Bryant's grocery store. The store was owned by Roy Bryant and his lovely wife Carolyn. Carolyn was alone in the store that day. Emmett, having lived in the outskirts of Chicago his entire life, had no idea that life in Mississippi was so very different from what he knew. The local boys insisted that Emmett walk up and simply say hello to Carolyn, A childhood dare, more or less, if you will. There was no harm intended. None at all. So Emmett, being the typical 14-year-old boy he was, he jokingly asked Carolyn out on a date. Never met Carolyn before in his life. No way of knowing she was already married. It was an innocent young joke. Later that night, Carolyn told her husband Roy what had happened. Roy and a friend, J.W. Milam, went out to hunt, as they called it, Emmett. You see, it was about 3 in the morning when J.W. Milam found out where Emmett was staying. J.W. jerked Emmett from the bed. He wasn't even wearing any clothes, just his underwear. Emmett was sharing a bed with his cousin. Emmett was tied up in the bed of a green pickup and drove back to Money, Mississippi yet again. They took Emmett to a barn where they pistol whipped young Emmett. He had to have been terrified. He probably didn't even realize what he had done. For in fact, he didn't do anything at all. He broke no law. He hurt no one. Emmett would die this night. An innocent, blameless, 14-year-old young boy. After being pistol whipped, they dumped him in the Tallahatchie River, where his body would be found bloated and swollen, beat beyond almost all recognition. Some 3 days later. Maymay insisted that her son be honored in an open casket funeral so that people in Chicago could see how African Americans in the South were being treated. The killers, this mob, these senseless, these heartless, these criminal killers that killed Emmett-till were acquitted. There would be no justice for Emmett-till. Emmett-till would posthumously become the leader and an icon in his own way of the civil rights movement. But to Maymay, Emmett-till would always be her precious little son, her 14-year-old boy who did nothing wrong. To Maymay, Emmett would always be her little boy. Emmett-till died innocent, blameless. Emmett-till died a hero. As we celebrate Black History Month, we celebrate the life of an American icon, an American hero, Emmett-till. I'm Matt Briscoe.